Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to my YouTube channel Diversity of Plant Zone. My today's video is about Carolus Linnaeus and classification system of Carolus Linnaeus. Before starting my today's video, I request you all to please subscribe my YouTube channel. So let's start the video. First of all, I'm going to discuss about introduction. Introduction includes the date of birth. Date of birth was May 23rd, 1707. Place of birth was village of the Reshult in Småland, Sweden. He was known as the founder of the scientific classification of the living organisms. Date of death was January 10, 1778. Place of death was Uppsala. In 1716 to 1727, Carolus Linnaeus studied in a city of the Växjö. Carolus Linnaeus studied very bad, especially on the basic subjects like theology and ancient languages. He was only interested in botany and mathematics. In 1727, the Linnaeus passed the exams and was accepted to the Lund University, as shown in the figure. In August 1728, Linnaeus was transferred in a University of Uppsala, as you can see in the figure. In 1733, the Linnaeus was actively engaged in mineralogy and wrote a textbook on this theme. So the theme was the copper mine in the city PHYLUM. In June 23rd, 1735, he received the degree of Doctor of Medicine at the University of the Harderwijk. In 1734, for Christmas, Linnaeus met his future wife. Her name was Sarah Lisa Moria. In the spring of the 1735, shortly before departure for Europe, Linnaeus and Sarah go engaged not officially. In the September of the 1739, held their wedding. So, all they had 7 children, 2 boys and 5 girls, of which 2 boy and a girl, dead in infancy. Now I am going to discuss about the publications. The first publication of the Carolus Linnaeus was the Philosophy of the Botany, which is also called Philosophia Botanica, as you can see in the figure. This is also the Philosophia Botanica, as shown in the figure. He also published the Species Plantarum in 1753, upon which he classified about 5,900 species of the plants. This is Species Plantarum, as shown in the figure. He also published Systema Naturae in 1758, which contains the classification of about 4,200 species of animals. This is Systema Naturae, as shown in the figure. This is also the figure of Systema Naturae. Next publication was the Genera Plantarum. Genera Plantarum is the publication of the Swedish naturalist called Carolus Linnaeus. The first edition was issued in Leiden in 1737. The 5th edition was served as a complementary volume to the Species Plantarum. Next I am going to discuss about medals and awards. Linnean Society of London. The Linnean Society of London has awarded the Linnean Medal for excellence in botany or zoology since 1888. Starting in 1978, in commemoration of the 200th anniversary of the death of Linnaeus, the Bicentenary Medal of the Linnean Society has been awarded in recognition of Verdun by a biologist under the age of 40. In 2007, they produced the 300 Linnean Tercentenary medals, which feature an illustration by Linnaeus of Andromeda mythology next to one of the plant he named, which is called Andromeda, for his expedition to the Lapland on the front, and a spiral design made from illustrations of his sexual system or plant classification taken from the Systema Naturae on the back. Medal of the Linnaeus Honorary Scientific Award, which is presented annually to an outstanding botanist or a zoologist, as shown in the figure. This is the gold medal of the Linnean Society, which was given to the Carolus Linnaeus. And this is the Linnaeus original Andromeda drawing, as shown in the figure. Next I am going to discuss about the money and stamps. Linnaeus was appeared on numerous Swedish postage stamps and banknotes for the tricentennial anniversary of the Linnaeus birth in 2007. The Sveriges Riksbank issued two commemorative coins, a 2000 krona gold coin featuring the Linnaeus eye studying nature through a magnifying glass on the front and a butterfly on the back, with the Latin phrase Naturae Mores Discrete, to learn the ways of the nature, and a 200 krona silver coin featuring a portrait of Linnaeus surrounded by twin flower plants on the front and a picture of stamen and pistils on the back, with the words like Systema Naturae, Linnaeus' book from which the picture was copied. So this is the figure of the Sveriges Riksbank issued 11 krona as an honor for the Linnaeus in 2007. In 1986, a new 100 krona bill was introduced, featuring a portrait of Linnaeus, drawings of pollinating plants from his Preludia Sponsalurum Plantrum, a sketch of the Linnaean garden, and a quote which is often described as Linnaeus' motto from the Philosophia Botanica, which reads, "Find wonder in all things, even the most commonplace." So this is the 100 krona you can see in the figure, which was issued as the honor of the Linnaeus. Linnaeus on a 1957 postage stamp from the Soviet Union. You can see in the figure, this is the postage stamp of the Linnaeus, which was issued by the Soviet Union. Next I am going to discuss about the commemoration of the Carolus Linnaeus. Commemoration of Carolus Linnaeus has been ongoing for over 2 centuries, celebrated for his scientific work. Linnaeus was knighted and granted nobility in life. After his death, he has been featured on sculpture, on postage stamps and banknotes, as well as by a medal from the eponymous Linnean Society of the London. Several notable people have given names like Linnaeus, usually for boys, and Linnea, highly popular for girls, born in Scandinavia. Among other things, the named in his honor are plants, astronomical features, towns, an arboretum, a mineral, and a university. So this is the example like the Sapix Theatre performance of Linnaeus in Lund 2001, as shown in the figure. Next I am going to discuss about the ACCOLADES. ACCOLADES. By the end of his life in 1778, Carolus Linnaeus had become one of the most acclaimed scientists in Europe, the first commoner in Sweden to be dubbed a Knight of the Order of the Polar Star 1753 and ennobled as Carl von Linné 1761. Linnaeus has been called as Flower King and Prince of the Botanists and the Pliny of the North. Carolus Linnaeus, Knight of the Polar Star, as shown in the figure. The coat of arms of the Carl von Linné, as shown in the figure. Next I am going to discuss about the memorials, monuments and statues. The Royal Botanic Garden in Edinburgh holds a monument to Linnaeus designed in 1778 by the noted Scottish architect Robert Adam. There are numerous other memorials and monuments and statues of the Linnaeus. Some examples are as follow. The first monument by the Robert Adam at the Royal Botanic Garden in Edinburgh, you can see in the figure. Second is the statue of Linnaeus in the Royal Academy of London. You can also see it in the figure. Next is carved wooden statue of Linnaeus in Visby. Next is Linnaeus sculpture in the Chicago Botanic Garden. This is monument to Linnaeus at his birthplace, which is called Rushholt. Next I am going to discuss about the Linnaeus University. Following approval by the Parliament of the Sweden, Växjö University and Kalmar College merged on the 1st January 2010. The resulting institution was named Linnaeus University in his honor. The new university logo carries much symbolism and is based on a drawing by Linnaeus. This is the Linnaeus University logo you can see in the figure. This is library interior at the Vexio. You can also see it in the figure. This is Calma College as shown in the figure. Next I am going to discuss about the museums in the city of the Uppsala, in which the Linnaeus worked and lived for most of his life. There are several museums dedicated to him. So these include the Linnaean Garden, Uppsala University's first botanic garden planted by the Olaus Rudbeck in 1655 and later restored and expanded by the Carolus Linnaeus, today serving as an outdoor museum and also as an indoor biographical and science museum dedicated to Linnaeus' personal and professional life, known as the Linnaeus Museum, located in the house in the garden that was the residence of Linnaeus. Second is Linnaeus Hammarby, located some 10 kilometers southeast of Uppsala, served as the summer residence of the Linnaeus family. Is today a historic house museum. This is the Linnaeus Museum as shown in the figure. Next is Linnaean Garden. So next is the Linnaeus Hammarby. You can also see in the figure. Other eponyms. The species of the snake, which is also called the Calamaria Linnaeae, is named in the honor of the Linnaeus. Asteroid 7412 Linnaeus was named in his honor. The other examples are the twin-flowered genus LINNAEAN. This is the nightshade species PHYLUM LINNAEANUM. This is the marimo-forming green algae species which is called the Agagropila Linnaeae or Linnaea. The double-flowered peony cultivar Linn. Next is Moray. Linné carved the flower of the honor for his wife, which is also called as Moray. If a tree dies, the plant and other in its place. This is said by the Carolus Linnaeus, acute showing his love for the plants. Next I am going to discuss about the Linnaean system of the classification. In the mid-1700s, he developed a 7-level classification system based on similarities between organisms. All organisms were classified as animals and plants. The classification system of Linnaeus was based on floral characteristics. He chiefly used characters of stamens, therefore his system was also called as sexual system. This system is very convenient for the identification of plants, and he presented his classification system in 2 books. The book was Species Plantrum and Genera Plantrum. The levels of the Linnaean system as shown in the figure: the kingdom was Plantae, phylum was Angiospermae, class was Dicotyledonnae, order was Rosales, family was Rosaceae or Rosaceae, genus was Rosa, and the species is Rosa gallica. Kingdom Plantae, which includes about more than 275,000 species. The phylum is Tracheophyta, vascular plants. More than 250,000 species are included in it. Class is Angiospermae or Angiospermae, flowering plants, which includes about 235,000 species. Order Rosales, roses and their alleles, which includes about more than 18,000 species. Family Rosaceae or Rosaceae, which includes about 3,500 species. Genus is Rosa, which includes about more than 500 species. Species is Rosa gallica, or which is also called moss rose. Next I am going to discuss about plant kingdom. Over 275,000 species. All the plants are included in one kingdom, Plantae, which is then broken down into smaller and smaller divisions based on several characteristics, including whether they can circulate fluids like the rainwater, through which their bodies need to absorb them from the moisture that surrounds them, how they reproduce by spores or different kinds of seeds, their size or their stature. Next is phylum. The plants are divided in this category based on whether or not the plant bears or produces the seeds, vascular or non-vascular plants. Over 250,000 plants in this category are present. Next is class. Over 23,500 species are present in it. Plants are divided into two types of classes. First is Angiospermae or Angiosperms, plants which can produce flowers. Second is Gymnospermae or Gymnosperms, plants which don't produce flowers. Next is subclass. There are two subclasses. First is Dicotyledonei, dicotyledons and dicots, the plants with two seed leaves. Next is Monocotyledonei, monocotyledons, monocot, the plants with one seed leaf. Order. A group of the related plant families classified in the order in which they are thought to have developed their differences from a common ancestor. Vegetative structures, reproductive structures, over 18,000 species are present, and names of the orders ends in ales. Next is family. Each order is divided into families. These are the plants with many botanical features in common, like vegetative and reproductive structures used. Related plants with similar flower parts are grouped together. The rose family, which is called Rosaceae or Rosaceae, consists of plums, apples, strawberries because they all have similar flower structures. The names of families ends in AC. Over 3,500 species. Next is genus. This is the part of the plant name that is most familiar. The normal name that you can give a plant is papaver, poppy. This is the plant group name. All the plants having the same generic name are said to belong to the same genus and have similar characteristics and are closely related. The name of genus should be written with a capital letter. Over 500 species are included in it. Examples of the plant genus like the Acer, all maples, Pinus, all pines, Ilex, all hollies, Quercus, all oaks, and Begonia, all begonias. Species. This is the highest level that defines an individual plant, and often the name will describe some aspect of the plant. The color of flower, size or shape of the leaves, or it may be named after the place where it was found. Together, the genus and species name refer to only one plant, and they are used to identify that particular plant. The species name is an adjective that describes the genus, like the alba. Alba means white, Quercus alba, white oak. Rubrum means red, Acer rubrum means red maple. The name of the species should be written after the genus name in small letters with no capital letter. Examples of the species and genus are as follows. This is the Acer rubrum, red maple, Acer saccharum, sugar maple, Acer palmatum, Japanese maple, Quercus plastris, pin oak, Quercus virginiana, live oak. So this is the example. Common name is corn plant. Category is kingdom, Plantae, phylum, Spermatophyta, class Angiospermae, subclass is Monocotyledonei, family is Gremmine or Gremmine, genus is Zea, and species is Maize. Binomial nomenclature is my next topic. So the Linnaeus introduced binomial nomenclature in 1758. In a binomial name, the first word is called the generic name or genus name or genetic epithet, and the second word is called specific name or species name or specific epithet. Both of these words are in Latin and are printed in italics and underlined when typed or handwritten. The generic name begins with a capital letter and the species name with a small letter. For example, the scientific name of the man is Homo sapiens, of which Homo is the generic name to which the species name sapiens belong. The name of the particular organism is scientifically same all over the world. It is the most important advantage of the use of binomial name, which is called scientific name. What are the advantages of the Linnaeus system? The Linnaeus was first to introduce some system of classification. It gives some basic knowledge of classification, so it was widely accepted by the taxonomists of that time. It provided a reference work. He gave clear-cut concept of the species, and this concept is still used today. So what are the disadvantages of the Linnaeus system? As the Linnaeus declared this system as artificial or temporary, he realized that this system should be changed with some natural system. Linnaeus grouped some unrelated plants due to similarity in flower structure. Similarly, Linnaeus was a religious person, and he opposed the concept of evolution in classification. Next is scheme of the Linnaeus system. Linnaeus divided the plants into 24 classes. The mostly used the characteristic of the stamens to differentiate between the classes. He also used the condition of the perigenous hypogeneous or hypogenous. Dynamous. Filaments fused or not, number of the fascicles, anther attachment, presence of male and female flowers. So these classes are as follow. The first class is Monandria. They have single stem. The example is Canna. Second is Diandria. They have 2 stamens. The example is Selva. Third is Triandria. They have 3 stamens. The example is Poa. Fourth is Tetrandria. They have 4 stamens. The example is Cuscuta. Fifth class is Pachyandria. They have 5 stamens. The example is Daucus. Sixth class is Exandria. They have 6 stamens. Example is Rumex. Seventh class is Heptandria. They have 7 stamens. An example is Aesculus. Eighth class is Octandria. They have 8 stamens. Example is Cepindus. Next class is Anaandria. They have 9 stamens. The example is Rome. Class Dysandria. They have 10 stamens. The example is Selene. Class Dodecandria. They have 12 to 19 stamens. The example is Euphorbia. Class Icosandria. They have 20 or more stamens and hypogeneous condition. For example, like the cactus is example of it. Next class is Polyandria. They have 20 or more stamens with a hypogeneous condition. Example is Ranunculus. Class Didynamia. They have the didynamia stamens. The example is Bignonia. Class Tetradynamia. They have the tetradynamia stamens. The example is Trifolium. Class Monodelphia. They have fused filament with 1 fascicle. The example is Sida. Class Diadelphia. They have fused filament with 2 fascicles. Example is Polygala. Class Polydelphia. Their stamens are fused with several fascicles. Example is Citrus. Class Syngenisia. They have the anther connate. The example is Viola. Class Gynandria. Their stamens are fused to their pistils. The example is Orchis. Next class is Monoaceae. They have a male and female flowers on the same plant. Example is Betula. Next class is Dioecia. They have the male and female flowers on the different plant. Example is Nagus. Next class is Polygamia and their flowers are polygamous. Example is Pogon. And the last class is Cryptogamia. The flowers are absent or not apparent. So an example is Fucus. If you like my video, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching and thank you for time and appreciation.